Shaka Daly has already taken a seat for this ferocious rivalry between Michigan and Michigan State. Fifth season at the helm, and prior to Shaka taking control of this program, it was a rivalry that was dominated by Michigan State, but the Maize and Blue have come away winners 3 of the last 4 years. We take a look at his starting 11.
He's sitting now, but he'll be up and down throughout the match. You can be guaranteed of that. Francis Atuahene, he gets to start as the attacking midfielder behind Salul. This is very interesting, and it is strong tactical move on the part of the coach. Evan Laurel, with a pretty decent season so far, still has to come up big on a couple of situations to keep the clean sheet.
Well, for Damon Rensing and the Michigan State Spartans, Coach Rensing says this is a different matchup. Coming off games versus Oakland and Rutgers, low-pressure teams, it will not be the same today versus Michigan. This is a look at his first choice 11.
And they've got some really nice veteran talent in the starting 11. A couple of youngsters, don't get me wrong, but when you've got a guy like Ken Krolicki who's producing goals and assists, and in the back you've got a guy that you can rely on in Jimmy Fiskus, tell you what, this is a really nice mixture of youngsters and veterans for Michigan State.
Almost ready for kick. The conditions perfect for a rivalry, and this is an emotional, pressure-filled game for these two teams. Chris, a lot of friends and family in the stands, and the competitors on both sides are very familiar with one another.
It doesn't matter, Dan, if you grew up in Kentwood, Walker, Dearborn, Troy, if you played for Vardar or you played for Wolves, this in the state of Michigan is the game you always wanted to be a part of as a youngster playing soccer in the state of Michigan. It's a fabulous afternoon, and it's one of the reasons why we've got the stands filled, because everyone knows how important this game is.
It's a beautiful sight seeing those full stands. The rivalry dates back to the mid-50s between these two teams, but Michigan was a club program then. They went varsity in 2000, and that's when the Big Bear Trophy was established by then Michigan head coach Steve Burns, and it continues to build here. It's Michigan State wearing white shirts on the home field of DeMartin Stadium here in beautiful East Lansing. Himlot, along with Santala, the engines there in the midfield for the green and white. There's Giuseppe Baroni, his first taste of the rivalry. Fourth Baroni brother to play at Michigan State, in the words of their head coach Damon Rensing, who's seen the twins before, and now the newest brothers arrive. It's the Grand Slam Baroni brothers.
Yeah, it's terrific that Giuseppe gets the start as a freshman. You can bet he's heard and witnessed plenty of battles over the years featuring his older brothers. A lot of post-game pictures out there on social media featuring him as a youngster standing with his brothers dressed in Michigan State uniforms.
Twins, older brothers Dominic and Mark. Giuseppe is the freshman. He's the cool, calm one. Hunter Baroni is the more emotional of the two. Pimblott will be in the attack for the Spartans. That's something Michigan State wants to avoid. Head coach Damon Rensing saying this week, those cheap giveaways in the midfield, because the Wolverines kill you at the counter, and they can break quickly.
They are very, very strong. They've got speed. All they need is one or two players getting ahead of the ball, and we've got a dangerous attacking player, Francis Atuahene. A lot of things can happen for you in the final third.
It's Michigan State. Krolicki, the big head offensive player of the week, draws the first free kick.
That's something that Michigan does not have to do. They're in a numbers-up situation defensively. There's no need to foul there. Allow the pass. Let your backs do their work in the back. Krolicki on the run. It's so late. It's so unnecessary. And in fact, your defender did his job.
Little things and plays like that just might determine this afternoon's outcome.
Krolicki is so unpredictable in this left attacking wing spot.
Driven in by Lewis. Popped right back in by the Spartans. Eckenrode was rising up, and now Evan Laurel will grab it.
He's got great game management. His coach paid him off this week, talking about his composure. Good feet. This is his 35th appearance today in a Michigan uniform.
And there was zero concern from his head coach Shaka Daly about his performance against Indiana, because there was about 3 or 4 times, including Indiana's opening goal, where spillage was an issue for Evan Lowe. But Coach Daly, seeing his full body of work, knows that he'll be ready for this big rivalry matchup.
Well, we heard the word spillage and we heard the word broken play, or the words broken play, a lot when we talked about what happened Wednesday against Indiana for Michigan. My big concern going into this game is they played the #2 team in the country Wednesday night to a 2-0 defeat. That is emotionally and physically draining. Now they've got to get up for this early game on a Sunday. Let's see what they got.
Michigan earns the first corner of this game.
This game is equally emotional and equally draining, both on the physical side and the mental side. So it'll be important to watch how Michigan is able to keep up their pace through the match. Great service to the outside, opportunity for a cross with no target there except for maybe late at the far post. Michigan's going to have to transition together more quickly.
It was Borges who earned that corner, now takes it in, but a Spartan is pushed down in the penalty area.
Get a good shot at Jim Hague, 6'4" junior. He's got big shoes to fill, replacing MSU's all-time winningest goalkeeper in Zach Bennett.
There's Borges again, #2 behind the ball, a big piece for Wolverines.
Yeah, he's big and he's important too. He had time in midfield back last year. He's a product of the Red Bull Academy and spent time with the U18 national team.
Damon Renzi, Michigan State's head coach, calls him not just one of the most dangerous players in the conference, but the country. Turns it over there for Michigan, but it's recovered by the Wolverines, but only for a moment.
And you get a taste of Michigan State's MO here. Krolicki looking quickly for Sierakowski on the run. Not able to connect with the long ball.
There's Andrew Herr, the 5th-year senior, wears #12 in the white shirt for Michigan State. 4 assists in his first 5 games this year. Fiskus is tackled. Well, it's Jimmy Fiskus, the scrappy defender, right back on it for Michigan State. Drawing the call, the experienced Andrew Herr.
One of the things Andrew Herr has got going for him is his speed. You don't want him to turn on you and go, because he can, and he will have already gone before you have time to react.
Not surprisingly, an energetic start so far between these two.
Well, let's talk about what Michigan State had their hands full on Wednesday night. They played Oakland to a 1-0. That's an in-state rivalry as well. Oakland University with a fantastic and consistently strong program year in and year out, but not the emotionally draining match midweek that I think Michigan had to go through facing #2 Indiana.
But maybe on the other side, Shaka Daly thought, despite the scoreline, as Michigan State now looking for their first attempt in the area. The second ball unable to get through, but Shaka Daly felt that despite losing to Indiana, they controlled large portions of that game, so maybe they'll build a little confidence off that.
Absolutely not disagreeing with that, Dan. You're right. Confidence important, and there were parts of the game that they ruled. In particular, in the second half, the way they came out of the locker room. I thought Michigan was very strong, especially in transition with their speed.
Shaka Daly watching on as Michigan State readies for this deep throw. It's available. It's roofed. Michigan State opens up the scoring. Brad Santella.
Well, this is a restart. It features long throw. Ryan Sierakowski gets up for it. It goes to the back post. Santala marks himself up with his first goal of the 2016 campaign. He was marked, but he wasn't covered.
Sierakowski advances it on to Santala, who has his first of the season. Damon Renzi felt that in their takedown 2 games ago over Rutgers, he was the best player on the field. Not a sharp last game versus Oakland, but a sharp beginning here. So the rambunctious crowd of East Lansing, Michigan now energized by the early strike. And the challenge increases for the Wolverines.
Several busloads of students and supporters brought over from Ann Arbor this morning for today's game. So not a completely partisan crowd here at DeMartin Stadium. Brad Santala holding mid, good feet, goes forward. You can see how poised he is in front of the goal.
The Wolverines, they've played some decent soccer this year. They've been on the wrong end of some overtime decisions. So Shaka Daly was reminding his team, come back to earth. Still 11 games left in a guaranteed tournament game. They're not as far off as they may appear, but the longer this thing goes, the tougher it is going to be to turn around the opening tailspin to begin the season.
Well, if you look at the stat sheet, Dan, to your point, and to Shaka's point as well, a lot of equality in terms of game day stats, goals, shots on goal, shooting percentage, corner kicks, for example, very level with their opponents over the early course of the season. You're right. In some small part or large part, it is a matter of luck. And Shaka said this week, the harder we work in training, the more luck will come our way on game day.
Usually just takes one. He wants them to be more clinical on the business end of things.
Connor Corrigan will take this. He's got a left foot that has served Michigan State well since he arrived here on campus.
Sent in nicely. First and second ball, Michigan to things first. So look at Tua Henny, 10 goals, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, 7th overall in collegiate soccer amongst freshmen last year. So that big production creates those large expectations here.
Yeah, and the big challenge, Dan, for the coaching staff for Michigan is to put him in a spot where he can flourish. Coach Shaka Daly's words, not mine. And isn't that interesting? You have such a wonderful talent like Tua Henny, and you're in a position where you still, at this moment, early in his sophomore year, you haven't exactly found where he's going to be able to maximize himself as a player and his contribution to the team. He's so versatile, so strong, and so adept with the ball.
Little opening here from long range. Well wide of the goal. And he was working his socks off versus Indiana, even when his team was down. Swarmed by defenders and midfielders, kept just trying to work his team out of this drought.
Tell you what, didn't take long for him last year to establish a reputation in the league for all the great qualities that he brings to the game. Coaches were talking about him in the first and second week of preseason.
For the Spartans, goal scoring has been a strength this year. Coming into this game, 11 goals scored, the highest Michigan State total through the first 5 games since 2010. They start off well on Sunday. Peter Brown behind the ball. Lars Eckenrode, always a dangerous presence off of these set pieces for the Wolverines. Eckenrode was nearest, but Haig used that 6'4" reach to grab it.
Yeah, Brown does a nice job serving this ball. Just a hair deep, but Eckenrode is waiting on the other end of that service.
Solid game versus Indiana. Has sorted to the roundabout a few times to help keep possession for Michigan and draw a foul.
Crafty with the ball, keep the ball close, makes it hard for defenders to strip him. Michigan State can't give up too many of these set pieces so close to goal.
Billy Stevens drives it in. Punched away by Haig. Returning to the original source, Stevens. It's Hallahan. Gets loose. Sends it in. Dying to stop that cross was Haig. And on the follow-through, lashing it wide, Riley Woods.
Take 30 seconds, rewind it to the restart. I said Michigan State can't give these up so much in the attacking third of the field. Michigan was able to earn not just the restart, but the first, second, and third chance at goal. Michigan State has to do a better job of cleaning up the play. Great work in the back by Haig. This is the third opportunity.
It was Hallahan who had that nice cross, and every time a cross or a set piece coming in, just look for big old number 6 for Michigan, Lars Eckenrode. You know he's going to be hanging around. He had 2 of the best looks in that loss against Indiana, did Eckenrode. Hallahan and Stevens back and forth.
This is good for Michigan. They're starting to get some ideas on how they can get around the corner. And that Michigan State defense.
There's Lars Eckenrode, as Shaka Daly saying that he's challenged his captains, Nason and Eckenrode, to have captain-like performances.
I think he felt like he got a bit of that out of Eckenrode there and Nason on Wednesday night.
Sent over to Hallahan's way. But first to it, it's Connor Corrigan.
Great young player. He found his way to the starting lineup early when he arrived as a freshman at Michigan State. Actually had the opportunity to go play at Indiana, but wanted to get away from home to East Lansing.
I'm sure he liked home, but there's pressure involved when you play in your home state school.
There's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Plus, there's a young man by the name of Andrew Gutman who was coming in. So that left back position was going to be quite the spot for the battle if Corrigan wanted a piece of it.
Just under a half hour to go here in the opening half from East Lansing, Michigan. They're playing for the Big Bear Trophy. The home team has won this trophy 6 of the last 7 years.
And last year, a bit of controversy in Ann Arbor on Halloween night. That's just solid defending from Billy Stevens.
It was Krolicki surging forward now. Tries to do it again. The clever little back heel opens things up. And Imbu gets shot through. But Michigan scrambling a little bit here. They recover. Breaking away is Hallahan. That split decision to give to Ahene. So Ahene walking off that collision a little bit. It would be nice for the Wolverines to get number 10 more involved.
This game was like a Maserati there for a minute. Went from 50 to 150. We're back down to a cruising speed of 75 now on the open freeway, but man, oh man.
Everybody just catching their breath a little bit. Michigan trying to mount an attack down the left side. Riley Woods helps her in a corner. We go back to the tackle from Billy Stevens.
Yeah, Billy Stevens comes out wide. Watch how he drops in. He got sucked into the middle, but he's a right back, so he's got to come way out to meet Krolicki. Tackles that ball away, and then Krolicki sees the runner, Corrigan, from the backside, splits the defenders with the heel. No foul called there. And Michigan State ends up chasing as Michigan regains possession coming out of there.
Eckenrode was rising up, the foul called. Wearing the captain's armband. Remember the Rocky movie? Or one of the, like, many from the 80s? the one with Ivan Drago.
Yes.
Eckenrode looks a little bit like him, especially as he continues to build that body.
Well, he can be a bit of an antagonist. We both know that in the back for Michigan, but he gets the job done in terms of cleaning up spills, and he's a tough physical defender.
He can break you.
He's the guy you don't want to play against, but you'd love to have on your squad.
Lunging for it was Krolicki, but Atuahene in Michigan. Rodney Woods looking to slip in, earns the second consecutive corner for the Wolverines.
Woods putting in a lot of great effort here this afternoon so far. I'd like to see him come up with different ideas. He goes to the corner with the ball. He doesn't necessarily have to play that ball as quickly as he has a couple of times. Maybe pull it back, reload, go across the back, and come back in on the other side.
Low service from Borges. Just 5 goals scored on the season for Michigan. Rising up was Eckenrode. Second ball, it was there for Hallahan on a tee. Raises it over the bar.
He likes to stay wide when he's out in the open field. Good with his left foot. Gets underneath this one. Doesn't stay over it. And a chance, I'm sure, that he will finish a little differently next time around, if there is a next time around. And to be quite frank with you, Michigan State not doing a good job on the second ball, especially on these restarts. Michigan's got to keep bodies in the area so they can win those and get those cracks at frame.
Hallahan, he's still a baby, just his 5th collegiate game, the Irish Youth National. Krolicki coming in there on Billy Stevens.
I'm certain there was no intent, but that was clearly feedback. What happened a moment ago? Watch Krolicki times his run perfectly, gets in on the ball, but gets a little more to the player. You recall that Stevens did the same thing to Krolicki earlier.
This Krolicki engaged him with pace there. It was an emotional finish for Billy Stevens in that loss versus Indiana. Rough tackle. He had to be held back from some of his teammates. But that's the type of player he is, says Shaka Daly. Just wears his heart on his sleeve.
Watching them Wednesday against Indiana, I was very impressed with the way Michigan makes the field big.
What's that tell you about their team?
Well, they're searching, they're probing, and so the kind of coach that Shaka Daly is, I think, helps them understand they're playing like they're looking for something. They're looking for that channel, looking for that one opening where they can break a line of defense and get to the next line, or break a line of defense and get to goal. So they're thinking this game, and let's face it, Michigan and Michigan State both have great athletes. Michigan's got great athletes and some veteran experience out there, and some really fine soccer players. So they're learning to think the game at this level and under the pressure of a Big Ten schedule. When things start to click for the players on the field, Dan, this becomes a very tough team to play against. They've got the grit, they've got the technical ability, and they've got the special sauce with Atuahene.
There's Giuseppe Baroni. Earning a free kick here with just over 21 minutes to go in the first half. Little opening. It's off of her taking a couple of deflections. Lauro will secure it. Michigan State flipping the script from earlier in the year. They were defying odds, as their head coach Damon Renzi was saying. They conceded the first goal in their first 5 games, but still had, for the most part, positive results. But here, living on the comforts of scoring first.
Learning to fight back in a match and understanding how good you are and who you can rely on the field when the chips are not in your favor on the scoreboard is an important lesson to learn early in the season, not late in the season. We've seen that with a number of teams. We saw it with Maryland. We've seen it with Indiana.
And the first key for Michigan State, they talked about this week in preparation for the Wolverines, is to contain Francis Atuahene. And I think so far, so good.
They've done well, but let's keep in mind Atuahene right now playing in that attacking midfielder role has at times come back deep into the defending half of the field to get the ball. Transition has been very quick. There hasn't been a lot of build-up. It's been quick with a quick ball to the outside to Hallahan or to Woods. And you start to wonder if the coaching staff of Michigan is looking at this and saying, okay, we've tried him at this role against this team. Maybe we need to put him in a different spot to get more from him.
Cross coming near Baroni. Getting a left foot to it was Krolicki.
As long as Krolicki's on the field, you cannot count out the left post, in particular when it's the far post. Krolicki hustling to get to that ball, puts a lovely shot on frame, technically, keeps his head down, keeps the ball low and gets over it. Brett Lauro for covering that far post so well.
Thought first look that Lauro might have got a touch on it, but a tough one to decipher.
Dan, to your point, Lauro, it happened so quickly. If he did, the post bailed him out.
Yeah, I think just post.
Very tough from our staff in East Lansing.
The goal scorer, Santala, loses it. Atuahene fights his way through some congestion there. Tossed over the top, but hurriedly off the line was Jimmy Hague.
And that's that quick ball that I was talking about. He's looking left and right, looking this time for Jack Hallahan. And while they're catching Michigan State running back towards their goal, they've not found any joy from any of these wide quick services.
Krolicki to Baroni. Brush ahead. Dancing in the area. Able to get the shot through. Finally, a weak attempt and easily covered by Lauro. So DeJuan Jones, that's his expected role, to create a lot of energy off the bench, and he does so there in the final 20 minutes. Capitula over for Stevens. Hallahan cuts, waits to fire. He does, not a bad idea.
Hallahan's primarily left-sided player. You see he's on the right so that he can cut in and use that left foot. And against the grain, get those shots up.
Any weaknesses when you look at this Michigan State team that Michigan can exploit?
Well, I think if they go direct, they may actually find some success. Michael Watungo is back there. He's a freshman alongside Jimmy Fiskus. I'll grant you, putting him alongside a veteran like that makes a lot of sense. And Watungo is great, highly rated, coming out of his experience with the Development Academy in Vardar. But I think if you play a little direct, put him under pressure, you might find an opportunity there. I think you have to mix it up. I'm not saying that Michigan's got to go to direct, you know, for the rest of the match. That's not it. But you have to mix it up. Here's Watungo on the ball. Really highly rated coming out of college, or coming out of club. You see him serve that ball with such accuracy. He actually scored a goal from 60 yards out in his club days. It was a restart. It was on the other side of the field. And Watungo serves the ball 65 yards, and it beats the keeper. And no one touches it.
This isn't bad either.
No, it's not bad. A little shorter, but it's right on target. That's what you want from a center back in distribution.
Corrigan will send this in. Hanging around for a while, and it gives plenty of preparation time for Evan Loro. Going to break the away, but Watungo was ready. Errant pass, a little bit of a break. Billy Stevens the other way. Fisks helps keep possession, along with a few flashes from Giuseppe Baroni. Michigan State, they're starting to become one of the stingier teams in the Big Ten Conference. They've not allowed a goal in over 250 minutes. Hallahan trying to cut. Again, looking for an opening. This time he'll lay it off. Spread around. Capitula. Hallahan gives it a crack. Cross goal. Corner upcoming for Michigan. So we take a look at a closer look at the work of Jimmy Fiskus.
Jim Fiskus coming out from the Michigan goal, attempting to interfere with Loro's distribution. He's got to be careful with that. That's a good sequence from Michigan, Dan. Quick combination play atop the 18, forcing Michigan State to bend, bend, bend. Now, when you've got defenders bending at the 12, you've got opportunity for that second layer of attack to come in underneath, drop a ball back, and let them take that crack. The problem in that situation, though, for Michigan is that not only were their front runners, Salul and Woods up there, but Atua Hene was a part of that line pushing, and Atua Hene was probably marked out of any potential for play. So we've got to pull him back just a little bit, not let him be so flat with the front runners.
Good one-on-one defending there from Tongu. Michigan still streaming forward from far away.
Yeah, I'd like that shot. You know, you've got to offer variety. As I mentioned earlier, you don't play direct soccer all the time, and Michigan's not going to do that. Likewise, you don't wait till you're inside the 18 to shoot. You've got to make sure the goalkeeper's aware that you're willing to do it from anywhere on the field. A couple of shots from distance, and then you work a ball in, and you get a nice shot at goal from inside the 18.
This Big Bear rivalry is usually played in late October. This is a lot earlier than previous matchups. Sintala and Michigan State trying to build in the lead. Gorlicki sends it in. Last year it was a James Murphy goal for the Wolverines and a 1-0 decision on Halloween.
A little bit of tweaking with the Big Ten Conference schedule this year, and the coaches I've spoken with in particular Northwestern coach Tim Lehan said, I really like this. I really like knowing that we're playing these conference opponents, these really important teams, sooner rather than later in the short college season.
See Hallahan attracting a little more attention now as he continues to cut down that right side into the middle. Eckenrode had a Tuahene in his mind there.
See, Capitula comes into the game, and now you've got Tuahene pushing up a little bit. More of a two-striker combination where you've got two guys working in conjunction with one another to split apart those back four of Michigan State.
Sierakowski and DeJuan Jones up top for Michigan State, along with Giuseppe Baroni. Pressure from Sierakowski. Wolverines break through it. Capitula, little interchange with Hallahan. So we look at the most recent work from Jack Hallahan as the first booking of this game.
Sierakowski picks up the yellow card on the tackle. Here's Hallahan on the turn, working the combination inside. Capitula.
So Sierakowski showing the cautionary yellow. Clashing heads there with Borges.
Yeah, but the yellow card is making the contact. He doesn't challenge for the ball properly. You have to go straight up. And he came in sideways head first. That is not a smart, that's just absolutely not a smart play from Sierakowski. Sierakowski's a front runner. He's coming back to help defend. Doesn't have to earn a yellow card in that position. What's Borgia going to do with the ball at that point? Not a lot. He's 40 yards from goal.
Sophomore learning on the fly. Sierakowski will have to watch free kick attempt here by Michigan with the yellow card in his back pocket. Contained by the Spartans.
Better on the second ball from Michigan State. A lot of heart and soul on the line in this interstate rivalry. Both coaches acknowledge that there is no other rivalry game in the conference like this one for men's soccer.
A little jitterbug there. Robbie Mertz, number 14 for Michigan. Could the Wolverines ever use a goal now? Especially considering their struggles to find goal coming into this game. Tuahene, he's a long way from goal still. Hallahan unable to make the turn cleanly. And just taking it to a safe place here in the final 8 minutes. Brad Santala, the goal scorer here in the opening half. With Chris Doran, I'm Dan Kelly, our BTN crew. Superb to have you with us in the first of 3 soccer games this Sunday on BTN. This one's from East Lansing, Michigan, and DeMartin Stadium as they battle for the Big Bear Trophy like these two teams have since the year 2000.
And last year's game in Ann Arbor on Halloween night ended in a 1-0 decision for Michigan. Some controversy at the end. A call that most Michigan State fans felt should have been whistled was not acknowledged by the referee. And the 1-0 decision allowed to stand. All over Michigan, Dan, residents are shooing and discouraging Bears off their patios and property. But there are 2 soccer programs here who'd love to have a Bear in the locker room for the next year.
All Michiganders, any bacon cooking on this Sunday, you're encouraged to close the window because you never know, that wooden bear could arrive at your doorstep. Little spillage. The foul given.
Get a good look, Tristan Jacob, who's entered here late in the match. Late in the first half, I should say, for Michigan.
There's Jones pestering Morris out of the back. DeJuan Jones would probably be the starting 11, but Damon Rensing, Michigan State's head coach, has the luxury of having a 5th-year senior like Andrew Herr hanging around, and Jones, he's got the injured background, so still regaining full fitness.
Yeah, he's been a great spark off the bench. He first arrived here at East Lansing, serving 6-7 minutes a half and then earning more time as reserve. Coach Rensing saying that with DeJuan Jones and a couple of other subs, they don't feel like they lose any quality when they start to go to the bench.
7 returning starters this year for the Spartans.
They were young last year. They had to fill in some big gaps. And I think the sense is that they're more on the same page than they have been ever before at this point in the season.
Think of that Chapman fellow, maybe that might have been one of those gaps they needed to fill.
Man, oh man, has he had an outstanding run with Toronto FC. Of course, they knew about him before he got there. He was a homegrown product, but terrific young player.
Talking about Jay Chapman, former Michigan State Spartan. Under 5 to go here in the opening half. It's the Wolverines searching that elusive breakthrough goal. Knocked ahead by Jones, but cover back for Michigan.
That's terrific ball collection from Jacob, who's on the run. Has to bring the ball out of the air. Has a defender closing it down and has got the touch line 12 inches from his right heel. Look, Jacob making the run. Here's the service. No room for error. Does a terrific job of bringing the ball down in front of him so that he doesn't have to change the direction in which he's facing.
And it didn't slow him up, and a defender right on him. Sent in by Jake. Grab was Hay. Down to the final 3 minutes of the first half.
Down a goal on the road, season not going the way you wanted it to. Michigan looks very poised and comfortable over the ball right now. I like the confidence they're exuding.
This is when they really started their better play against Indiana, the final 15-20 minutes of the opening half, and it carried on into the second. So hopefully that trend will continue for Michigan. They can just get a little better on the business end now. And that final finish. Capitula brings it down nicely.
but right out of the back by Michigan State. Stevens surprised a little bit there by the presence of Sierakowski, who took it away. The large gathering has been rewarded with perfect soccer weather. A little warmer for the guys on the field. So on the Corrigan throw, Baroni. Just kind of cheaply given away and allows Michigan a little late possession. There, the little bump by Atua, and he opens things up. The cross comes in, and the save made by Jimmy Hague. Right place, right time to make stop on Robbie Mertz.
Just an exceptional service across, and Mertz was able to split the defenders. He was wide open. Technically, did everything he needed to do. Snap it down and low. And Hague was there with a save.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Well, the good news is for the Michigan Wolverines, they got better as that opening half moved along. And they saved the final seconds in the final minute for their best looking goal during that opening half.
Well, they go to the left side, and nothing was coming from it. This is terrific by Atua Henning. Does a great job of going 2v1, but then loses his appreciation for how much space he had left. The giant service by Kaptula. Mertz with the header, the save by Jim Hague. Mertz with a terrific job of settling in there. He doesn't need to be 6'5" to finish that. Snap down header. Technically very good. Needs to look for the corners on the next opportunity.
It's good to have Michigan State's head coach Damon Rensing joining us live here at the break. And Damon, you get that early goal. What did you like about your team's performance there in the opening half?
Well, it was a good start. I thought we found the ball wide. We kind of calmed down, and these rivalry games are pretty bit hectic, and certainly I think Michigan wants that. But we've got to connect passes and slow the game down, and we've had some bad turnovers in that last 15 minutes, and that's really allowed Michigan to get going on the counterattack.
Damon, late in the half, your defensive lines seem to be bending. Was there concern that they might break, and how do you address those lines for the second half?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of it's just about us keeping the ball, because now you're fresher. You can pressure higher up the field. You keep the ball up the field, and we won't force ourselves to just drop. When you lose the ball in some bad scenarios, you almost have to just drop. And so we got a little tired there, but we'll regroup and be ready to go.
And how important is the Big Bear Trophy matchup? You've got a great crowd, beautiful day in East Lansing. What does it mean to your guys?
Well, it means a lot. You know, these are two great universities, and there's a lot of rivalry and a lot of passion and respect, and we just want that Big Bear in our locker room, not theirs.
Damon, thanks so much for the time. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
It's Damon Rensing. He's always so even keel, well, especially when his team leads 1-0, a crucial rivalry game on their home pitch. Try to build on that and more. We'll look at highlights and stats and a whole lot more as we continue between Michigan and Michigan State from East Lansing, Michigan. Fans, BTN To Go is now fully customizable. Check out all the new features of the app. Watch live games and daily video from BTN, as well as fresh, real-time social content about your school, stories from BTN.com, and much more. Update yours or download the app today. Available in the App Store and Google Play. Good to have the head coach for Michigan, Shaka Daly, joining us live. And Shaka, some positive things there in the opening half for your team to build on. What did you see?
Yeah, I thought we did okay, but obviously fell asleep on the first set piece of the game, and that's certainly the difference. So we just told our guys we got to get after it, find a way here in the second half, and keep asking questions of Michigan State.
And yet you did, and it looked like you appeared to gain traction late in the second half. What was working for you, maybe personnel-wise or system-wise, late in the first half?
I think just getting pressure in the center of the park and trying to turn their fullbacks and kind of get in behind a little bit. If we can do that and kind of drive at them, I think we could be a bit more positive for us in the second half and get crosses and more commitment on the end of crosses. You know, when balls are coming in box, getting a little bit more commitment from our guys on the end of them.
Shaka, thanks for the insight. Good luck in the second half. Let's play some soccer.
Thank you.
Here's the State Farm State of Success. It involves that guy, Francis Atuahene. What a story he is for these Wolverines, part of the Right to Dream program.
Yeah, it's terrific how this program exists in various parts of the world to help give students first, athletes second, and people of great character an opportunity to come to America and pursue an academic goal as well as an athletic goal. And Francis Atuahene is one of those players. He chose Michigan and has become quite the popular guy, not just in the program, but around campus.
Yeah, Shaka Daly says he's a smashing young man around campus just because of all the attributes he has, not just on the soccer field. The good news is for the Wolverines, 2 more Right to Dream kids on the way to Ann Arbor. We're just underway in the second half from East Lansing, Michigan. It was Santala, the only one to find goal in the first. Shaka Daly say he felt his Wolverine team just fell asleep on a set piece, so they just had to move on and continue to ask questions from this Spartan team. Krolicki to the ball.
So we talked about how Francis Atuahene started in that central attacking midfielder's role for Michigan. He is now playing on the left side while Mercer stays in at the attacking midfielder's role. He came in late in the first half.
Atuahene. 1v2. Now a third joins the defense, and it's Andrew Herr emerging with it. Michigan State has won 3 straight, while the Wolverines winless in their first 6 games. But they've been close.
And Shaka told us this week he recognizes that the guys start to certainly realize that this is a tough stretch, and he just reminds them to trust the process, keep moving forward 1 game at a time. You can't look toward the end of the season. You've got to look at what's in front of you on this day, take care of business.
Shaka Daly, a young man, 43 years of age, an experienced head coach, as Michigan now surging forward, merged the cross, getting ahead to it with Capitula, but again directed right to the keeper.
But Capitula did what Mercer did in the first half, and that is split those defenders, and the central defenders for Michigan State now on 2 occasions, 2 consecutive services to the 6, have not done a good job of challenging for the ball on service. Take a look at how Capitula finds his way in. There's got to be bigger commitment from the Michigan State defenders to keep a body on Capitula, number 1, and number 2, to clear that ball out. Well, this is kind of interesting. Borges moved the sideline flag because he felt it was in the way of his throw. And that flag, believe it or not, in the rule book is supposed to be in that spot. It stays in that spot a yard off the touch line. Just like the corner flag sits at the corner where the two lines meet, the goal line and the touch line. That flag by diagram in the FIFA rule book has to be in that position.
Mertz was ready to jump on a turnover, but corralled back by the Spartans. This is Dewey Lewis. We'll take it wide. Corner upcoming.
I won't knock this too long, but you will never see a player move the corner flag on a corner kick, and yet some will argue it's in their way. So that's why Burgess was not allowed to move the flag on the throw-in, because it's considered to be part of the field.
It was bothering him.
It was. That's just not enough of an excuse. I'm sorry.
Fair play to you.
Corrigan is a product of the Fire Development Academy program in Fishers, Indiana. Phil Presser down there, great talent from Central Indiana.
Second ball. Chipped in. And another decent look. It was Entala looking for his second on the afternoon.
Yeah, but he met a big 6'3", 220-pound goalkeeper. Here's corner kick. Cleared out. Great opportunity. The second ball on the chip ball to the far post. Entala sneaking in yet again. And Loro's there. Great ball cleared out. I think it was Billy Stevens who actually got his head on it on clearance. Loro. Centalishing grit there on the far post.
Capitula. Shields away well. Capitula again.
Pretty ball.
Yes! Morgus knifes the cross through. Corner coming for Michigan.
That's really great working combination. Working his way to the corner, finds Capitula, then goes to the gap. Go to the gap, get the pass back. He beats him off with a great ball that gets around last defender for a dangerous ball in.
Rising up was Eckenrode. Jacob with the attempt. Back and forth between he and Capitula on the outside. Cross coming in. Jimmy Haig was ready.
Get around the back. Jacob Mercer doing a really nice job as first half substance, starting the second half, getting around the corners and getting those services in behind the defender. We've already seen twice how Michigan was able to get a clear head ball shot on goal. You start to think after watching the last 3 or 4 minutes of the first half and the first 9 minutes here of this second half that it's coming for Michigan.
There's a Tuaheni. Lays off for Capitula. Jabbed out by Krolicki. At times it looks like they just haven't got the rub of the games. Michigan, they've had some bad luck to start the season, especially in overtime, conceding late goals.
Well, I'm not saying that they think this way, but every soccer program in the Big Ten is a marquee program. You're not entitled to luck. You are not entitled to victories, not entitled to results because you have big blue M on your jersey, because you have the big PSU in the back of your jersey, or because you have the big I for Indiana on your jersey. You ask any one of those coaches, and every one of them will tell you you're not entitled to victory. You've got to work for it. And Michigan right now appears to be putting a lot of really strong work into this one. You talked about, again, as they performed against Indiana on Wednesday, their second half performance really started to pick up some steam against the Hoosiers at home Wednesday.
They've wanted more consistency out of that guy, Lars Eckenrode, and got it the last 2 games. They need their leaders here on the road. Sierakowski. Unable to get by Eckenrode.
Peter Brown has got issue with his shoe or his foot, his shoe. And he was asking for assistance from the assistant referee to stop play. And the referee and the assistant referee, not sure which, he was addressing his concern to the assistant referee to hold up the throw-in.
So the boot's all secure. Corrigan will drive it in. Banged around and cleaned up at the line by Bourgass. Atuahene trying to go the other way. But called for the foul there on Dewey Lewis with Atuahene.
Boy, it's a giant ball in. Could be a handball there. He skips it away. It was just there for the taking for the Spartans. Loro not able to get a full paw on it. The clearance.
This game's had some exciting moments.
As a lot of rivalry games do, right?
It's still a close game. We expect more. This is Dewey Lewis. Dislodged by Nason. So Atuahene just hasn't been able to take off this afternoon.
Michigan State has done a nice job of getting pressure on him and the ball as quickly as they can. In that situation, the cover was important, the second defender.
Four-year player for the Spartans, Dewey Lewis. This is Giuseppe Baroni. Krolicki. Operating in tight spaces and finally taken back over by Atuahene. Just kind of cheaply given away in the midfield, and it's Michigan State right back on it. We go back and talk about that frenzied few moments in front of goal. What's a handball here?
This is the corner kick coming from the far side. You see the player from Michigan. There may or may not have been contact there, but I'd say it could not have been called on Michigan if it did hit his hand. His arm was in a natural position. He wasn't reaching for the ball. The ball made contact with it. So, on the other hand, Michigan State on the attacking side of that ball, of that service, I should say, if the Michigan State player had punched the ball, I would say that that would be worthy of whistle.
Speaking of handballs,
this is the controversy last meeting when these two teams met at Ann Arbor. Here's the shot. Down 1-0. Michigan State wants a PK called. And the referee did not whistle the handball.
looked like Steve Racine, the starting goaltender for the hockey program in Ann Arbor.
Sure. This is Riley Woods on the ground now. He's been just a rock back there defensively for the Wolverines. I beg your pardon, Billy Stevens. So it happened moments ago. Stevens at the base of the receiving end of that. When he goes down awkwardly on his right shoulder. I don't know. I look at Billy Stevens. First of all, I think Danny O'Rourke of the days at Indiana. It looks like it would take an awful lot to knock him out of a game.
He's got that alley cat mentality out there.
This is a couple of times now. Atua Henny has been whistled on a foul, trying to get out of traffic with the ball.
So Morris has come on to replace Billy Stevens for Michigan. The always dangerous DeJuan Jones, who wears number 6 for Michigan State. Also back out there for Damon Mensing's team. They like the moves there from Sierakowski to move it forward to Andrew Herr. Dewey Lewis, part of the Elite 8 team, changing positions here later in his career in Michigan State.
Well, part of Damon Mensing's system requires that the outside backs are comfortable getting forward, being effective in the attacking third. Lewis is a former midfielder, knows what it's like. One-to-one dribbling situations, serving big-time crosses, that sort of thing. Moving him back was a natural decision into that right back slot.
Number 9, Jack Hallahan, back on the field. The freshman was trying to create some danger a few times in the first half of play. If you're just joining us, these two teams vying for the Big Bear Trophy. The celebration of this trophy and this rivalry officially began in 2000. Michigan, they've been the victors 3 of the last 4 years, but things looking bright right now for the home team, the Michigan State Spartans.
Billy Stevens, sitting on that shoulder injury, is going to come back in now, keeping that defensive line for Michigan intact.
Declaration number 4, Billy Stevens.
That cohesion, familiarity amongst the back line, maybe even more important and crucial than the attacking players knowing one another.
It is. We always talk about how there's so much more work done defensively on a soccer field than there is in the attack. In the attack, you should be light, you should be creative, you should be thinking freely. Defensively, you have to think like a true A personality, a true left-minded, left-brain thinker. You've got to be organized, you have to be communicating, you've got to be rock solid, you have to be committed and tough. And those are qualities that players in many cases can't be taught. They almost have to be born with those qualities. And both of these teams have got players that are clearly very strong with those qualities.
Michigan here on the build-up. Broken up by the Spartans, but possession still from the Wolverines. But now surging ahead, it's Michigan State trying to get the ball away from their goal. And that's what's so frustrating for Shaka Daly, Michigan's coach. This team has had trouble scoring. But that's something a head coach can't just magically wave off the problem and solve it. Finishing and execution in the final third.
Well, we talked about how equal over time the stats appear to be between Michigan and their opponents as Borges picks up a yellow card on the tackle in the open field. And, you know, if you didn't tell me what the final scores were, I would simply say, well, it looks like Michigan's struggling with the final touch. Here's the midfield tackle. He's got help from Capitula coming in. You've got a potential double team coming in. When you double team a player, especially in the midfield, the lower player, in that case Borges, actually just holds his space. It's the player coming from above, Capitula, who should go in for tackle. Instead, Borges lost patience and went in anyway, earning a yellow and not gaining possession.
Atua Henny holding things up, but right over his shoulder
was Dewey Lewis to take back over for State.
Yeah, and you see how much tension he attracts, right, Dan? He's got a guy right on his back and two players coming in support.
He could use a phone call from Rutgers attacker Jason Wright, who's dealing with the same issue as now Michigan State and Jones earning a corner.
Boy, you're so right. And both teams play out of the same system, the 4-2-3-1. And both coaches at about the same time in the season said, you know what, I'm going to take my number 10 and I'm going to move him back out to the wing, put a little more field in front of him and see if he can attack from outside in rather than right up the middle. And it didn't work for Jason Wright the last couple of games, and it hasn't necessarily come together all the way here for Atua Hene.
Dewey Lewis raised for the corner. Will be a goal kick, and we look at that congestion again around Francis Atua Hene.
Hamper his first touch and then bring in cover, the second defender, so that we can keep him from turning and getting away. And it's exactly what Ken Krolicki provides there in that sequence where Atua Hene is trying what is already a difficult effort, and that is just bringing the ball down out of the air, settling it to his feet from his chest. And to be fair, it's the same sort of challenge that Jason Wright of Rutgers has faced.
Michigan State looking more dangerous here. Atua Hene, though. That's what you want one of your best attacking players do. Help out and gain possession again, but it only lasts for a moment.
And that was one of the things that Coach Shaka Daly mentioned in the halftime interview. He wants his team to hold this ball up. This is great work by Atua Hene coming back. They help in distribution, and Mercer's on the run, but they get 3 more passes into this, and they're putting it back to the feet of the white players. Michigan State ends up getting away with, you know, they're not, Michigan State in some cases is even having to work hard to gain possession of the ball. Michigan's essentially getting it back to them.
Atua Hene, we've seen him do it a few times this afternoon, using his arms to buy a couple feet of space, and he could turn in a hurry. So under 25 minutes to go in this second half from East Lansing, Michigan. Centala's first of the season so far. Stand up.
Both teams have brought such an honest, competitive spirit to this game. A headlining game in the state of Michigan, as we talked about at the opening of the show. Because of the local talent and the familiarity that the Michigan players have with each other.
Cleaned up by the Wolverines. Let's build up, slowed up a little bit, so Mertz will turn back. Just getting enough to it. Atua Hene. Ivo Serta out there. Of course, he's celebrating Chilean Independence Day. Serta wears number 8 for Michigan. Capitula draws the free kick here.
Krolicki gets a talking to, but nothing more. Too much respect for the game from the coaches and the players on both sides of this ball to let it get out of control. There have been just fair competitive fouls.
Curled in. Falls conveniently there for Hallahan. 1v2. Still able to dig that cross through. And it ends up being a handful to deal with.
Boy, it's extraordinary for Hallahan to get that service off. He's being closed on by 2 defenders. Takes them one way, goes to the goal line, and gets a great service across the goal mouth.
Game opening up a little bit now. Did you hear the communication? The Wolverine teammates telling Billy Stevens he's got a lot of time back there. Mertz, he had that good chance in the first half.
Good build-up for Michigan. Better string of passes for the Wolverines. Just a moment ago, out this from the corner. Big-time service across. Second opportunity. Couple of targets there. Capitula with the service.
And it's Hallahan, the freshman, who's showing his team the way here in the second half. Recovered in the midfield by Michigan. Mertz is available down the near side, and they find him. Switching things back and forth, looking for any opening. You can hear the traveling supporters who've made the trip from Ann Arbor. They keep this ball on the ground primarily on the build-up and the attack, Michigan. They'll switch the conversation down the right side to Eckenrode.
Much better for Michigan. The line of contention has dropped pretty deep for Michigan State.
Mertz. Recovered by the Spartans and keeping things safe in the back. Surprised how that line has dropped deep for Michigan State?
No, that's pretty common for Michigan State, and I think any team in this situation, I mean, the guys are sensing the time's winding down. They've got the wimble lead. You saw Sierakowski trying to get that second line up a little higher. Don't expect Damon Rensing's last line of defense in front of goalkeeper Jimmy Haig to get much deeper than the 18, really. But they had really sort of smushed together. Now, in doing that, they also cut off a lot of channels for Michigan. So Michigan's got to get creative in the final third to find those gaps. And you can do that with speed, surprise, and certainly earning a dangerous restart. We'll have a card here.
It's Corrigan down for the Spartans, and things getting a little spear now as brushes off Eckenrode.
Eckenrode messes with Sierakowski and then closes the deal on the overlap Corrigan.
So the yellow to big Lars Eckenrode. Third yellow card we've seen this afternoon, the second one against the Wolverines. Dewey Lewis will smack it in. An easy claim for Laurel.
Good, now the switch with speed.
Close to 300 minutes of shutout soccer for Michigan State. Makes the challenge even mightier for the Wolverines. They've been a team that has had trouble scoring goals this season. And the Spartans looking to stretch their winning streak to 4 games.
50 at the switch. Good. Michigan's doing much better here, reading this tactically and what they can do to accomplish their goal of a goal.
Jones had that heavy first touch initially, but it will stay with Michigan State.
Yeah, but it'll stay deep, and so the effort here for the Wolverines is to keep Michigan State trapped in their defensive half of the field. Ball by Borges.
Mertz a little closer, bending it in right to Haig.
You saw how quickly they shifted the point of attack and then got down the line with that long penetrating ball, which beats two lines of defense here. Mertz moves in, gets himself a gap, and takes a nice crack at goal from 20 yards out. Much better from Michigan here in the last couple of minutes.
So the freshman back on Baroni for Michigan State. He'll replace Jones. Look at the only goal of this game in the first half, first of the season for Brad Centala.
Lewis, big throw in, slip head, Sierakowski, the finish by Brad Centala. Second chance opportunity, Centala keeps them out of reach of Evan Laurel.
Mertz leads the charge. Is Anderson switching down the far side. Swatongu breaks it up for Michigan State. Well done by Baroni.
One of the things when you read a scouting report and you see that a player is really good 1v1 with the ball, like Mr. Baroni there, you have to conclude that he's also accustomed to feeling the defender. And when players who are great in possession, individual possession, feel a defender, they also know when those moments come where they can go ahead, invite contact, and earn a whistle.
Feeling the defender and feeling the time of the game as well.
Yeah.
So Michigan trying to muddle up things in this bright start for Michigan State. At the same time, rejuvenate their season. This is Andre Morris. Morris will calm it down along the near touchline. That line of confrontation now, forcing Michigan to make some decisions a little quicker. Fighting their way down the far side. Service comes in. And almost an own goal there for Michigan State. Things getting a little nervy around their goal. So it was Watongu there near the goal line.
Boy, this is a great ball. And Mertz collect that ball, continues to goal line, comes back, pops it out. Watongu does a great job staying calm as a freshman in a situation where his team's under pressure.
As he recovered from his initial mistake, thankfully, for Watongu, he had enough time to react as we see it again.
Mertz stays with this ball right to the goal line. Watongu cuts off the back pass. Another corner kick.
Snapped in again, Watongu. There to direct it out of trouble. It's Michigan pouring on this late pressure. Second Road was looking for a call in the area. So what could Damon Renstein tell his team right now, Chris, to alleviate some of this pressure and eliminate some of these chances around goal?
Well, you want to free up some of your guys up top to be targets, to hold the ball up, let players come out underneath, relieve pressure, turn and go, and you want to just take the real estate behind the Michigan defenders from midfield on. Michigan right now is doing a much better job in possession than they have throughout the course of the match. So it's making it harder and harder now for Michigan State to dictate what's going on in the game.
Stevens there just winning that 50-50 ball from DeJuan Jones. A trot forward by Eckenrode. They find Jones. Now we'll see if they can keep possession for a while.
Jones doesn't have to do anything special with it. He had runners coming up underneath him. Serta directing traffic. He wants that ball swung around. Gorgeous, beautiful ball.
Atuahene breaking in. Jimmy Haig off his line to stop the most dangerous Wolverine, Francis Atuahene.
That's just beautiful soccer from Michigan. It's frantic. They've pulled apart Michigan State. Ball inside, then right down the middle to Atuahene. Haig is up to the challenge. The 1v1.
It was Tyler Anderson who slotted that pass through to Atuahene that almost had the equalizer. So inside the final 9 minutes of real time here in East Lansing, Michigan. Serta the calm, cool turn. Well done by Mertz to keep it forward, but it's recovered by the Spartans. Herr will knock it away. A ton of possession here enjoyed by Michigan, chasing this game late on the road.
Lewis has got the long flops to go inside. To the benefit of Michigan.
Pushed into the middle. As Mertz couldn't get the shot through. Hallahan dancing around, but just too many white shirts around.
Tough spot. They tried to do too much in too little space with too much pressure defensively on them. You still have 7 minutes. Probably should have laid that ball out and recycled it. Wow.
This is the first of 3 games this afternoon on BTN. Women's soccer coming up next. Michigan State and Iowa. Followed up by Northwestern and Purdue to finish off our soccer coverage. And this game takes a little more meeting. 2 Michigan schools, so much history, they know each other so well, and going to the Big Bear Trophy. Tua Henne would like to get his paws on that one. The shot takes a deflection. Will be a corner for Michigan as we go back a few moments ago and look at the run from Tua Henne.
This is really great stuff from Tyler Anderson as he watches and checks to the ball. Tua Henne sneaks around on the backside and goes right between the 2 defenders. Jimmy Hayes exits this line, comes out, it's big.
Corner comes in. There, Hayes got his right fist to it. Michigan State coming the other way. Jabbed away by Mertz. Numbers flowing forward now. Final 5 minutes. Unless Michigan can find that equalizer.
Wolverines doing a much better job last 15 minutes of taking care of the ball.
They've had it a lot.
Yeah, but they're connecting passes. Remember early on, Dan, they were just laying off errant passes and making it easy for Michigan State.
Few oohs and ahs. Borges looks over his shoulder looking for the call. Not granted his wish. They play on. It's Michigan State. The intervention from Peter Brown. Mertz is dangerous this afternoon, number 14 for Michigan. Brown and Eckenrode out of the back. Second ball comes down for Michigan. Anderson stretching for it, couldn't bring it in.
Well, these final 3.5 minutes, it's Michigan is going to count on the big service in, and maybe nothing comes from that big service in, but you count on the second ball. The big service cracks a couple lines of defense that Michigan State's offering. One at about midfield, and then in the middle of the defensive half. And you hope on that second ball chance you find a way to get the ball to a teammate who's crashing underneath, or finish the play yourself. Michigan State going to take their time loading up this throw-in.
Sierakowski. Well done out of the scrum by Sierakowski. And again, it's Sierakowski. That little jab keeps possession on Michigan State's side. And a good portion of the clock continues to tick away. Tua Henne got a touch to it.
Salul hung up. the Michigan State player who was advancing toward the ball. That's an off-the-ball foul that was caught by the referee, who was no more than 10 feet away.
Home supporters all ready to celebrate. Starting to look like that Big Bear Trophy will be moving back to East Lansing, Michigan. To Henny. Looking to shirk loose, but Watongu safely away. Scooped into the area. Hangs around, launched high and wide. It was Lars Eckenrode with a chance to tie it. And that's an angry man that would like another try.
Look at the technical work here as Ecken brings the ball down. It's his second touch, tees it up, and can't finish. Such poise. He's just got to get that hip up and over the ball.
And for the first time in school history, Michigan State starts Big Ten play